You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise.
What's up, brownies? So Reesa Teesa was recently on the Tamron Hall show, and in one segment she was talking about her hurt feelings from some of the negative feedback that she's gotten since posting her TikTok series. So first I'm going to play what she had to say on the show. I'm going to play the actual sound bites from the videos that she's referencing. And then we're going to have to come back and have some uncomfortable truth conversations.
Negative comments have hurt the most, I guess.
The ones that talk about the fact, and I know people have seen this, she does not look like what a VP would date. And it was a woman, it was a TikTok creator who was talking about my looks.
Now, I've said that Reesa Teesa in the story about who the F did I marry, when I looked at the man, Legion, Reesa Teesa does not look like the arm candy that he would have on him. And when I made a video just saying that as women, we need to really be aware of these men that want trophy women. If he is that type of dude, he most likely is not going to be wanting to be with a plus size woman, no matter how beautiful she is. He's probably not going to want to be with a dark-skinned sister, no matter how beautiful she is. He's probably not going to want to be with a short woman like me, no matter how beautiful she may be. We can't even have a serious conversation about that, to talk to younger women to let them know that most likely if you get with a man that traditionally in the black community that you don't look as good or 5 times better than, you're going to most likely run into some problems. And all the women that look like Reesa Teesa are all mad. I am saying to younger women, if you get with a man that is a pretty boy, you better make sure that you are a pretty girl, or you're going to end up in a situation like this where a man can look at you and say, I look better than her, or she think I look better than her. And so therefore, I'm going to run game on her.
And then there was a very famous personality that called me a big back, talking about my weight.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I hear a lot of big back behavior. Does she have a big back?
She do give Sheila that was driving up the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sheila was beautiful though.
Yeah, no. You talked about the big back, not the face.
Yeah, you're right.
She's cool.
What's your thing with big backs?
No, I'm just saying, because in a situation like this, some of you big backs, y'all got to stop being so thirsty for a man. There's a man out there for you. Okay, this woman believed all of this because she wanted to believe all of this. Big back belief isn't like everybody else's belief. Okay, she said it herself. He said everything I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
She wanted to believe whatever was coming out of his mouth because she wanted a man so bad.
And then I seen him and he actually looked like her. I don't know yet.
How big is she? Because you said the tire blew up.
Boy.
You know how Sheila was.
Oh boy.
Yeah. She don't fit in a frame. Like you can see, like she got the.
It don't matter how big her back is.
No, it don't.
It does, because this is big back behavior.
She was
They
doing-
be
she was in
thirsty
love.
for men. And this is also a good Tubi movie.
Yeah.
Somebody get these 52 parts and
She's a pretty
transcript
girl.
them.
Yeah, she is a pretty girl.
Well, salute to her.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And so it's things like that I'm like, Jesus, I can already admit I'm self-conscious, as a heavier woman. I feel like how I look should not dictate whether or not I deserve what I want.
All right, so the irony is not lost on me that the Breakfast Club just so happens to be referencing the same movie that I reference for this whole spoof series. They're talking about the movie Why Did I Get Married? And in particular, Sheila, the morbidly obese wife with a tall, dark, and handsome husband, okay? Fair reference. Now let's go into some more of the uncomfortable truths. They are saying that Reesa Teesa was desperate or thirsty. Unfortunately, Reesa Teesa all but admitted this herself. She just didn't use those exact words. She was more so talking about the fact that there's a finite amount of time that she has, the window that you have with your biological clock as a woman, to where you can naturally have babies and give birth. But also, she mentioned in her series that her situation was even more complicated by the fact that she is obese. What I want to focus on, though, is why is it that even though Reesa Teesa explicitly said she rushed the situation due to wanting to have children, right? Why is it that people are still assuming that no matter what, she was always going to be thirsty and desperate for a man based solely on her aesthetic and the fact that she's overweight, right? I want to tell you that what you think is your preference is actually your programming. And these negative stereotypes for women who look like Reesa Teesa have been programmed into your ear gate and your eye gate for the entirety of your life. But I'm going to show you how they show up in media. So first and foremost, whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of times when you see somebody like Reesa Teesa, what you instantly associate her aesthetic with is the mammy archetype. The mammies were often depicted as overweight black women of a darker hue that were made to be in a role of servitude. They were less than educated, basically presented as asexual, so they were never intended to be the love interest, just a glorified work mule. So if every time you've seen this image, this is a woman that is less attractive, less educated, and thus less desirable, you associate that image with something slavish, that's not going to be something that you want as a man who is successful and basically you can have your pick of women. That's not what you're going to pick. Now, if you don't see the mammy archetype when you see a Reesa Teesa, you will see the Miss Piggy archetype. The woman who is overweight and has to always chase a man because nobody is chasing her or nobody wants her. It may be more recognizable in a black woman if you associate her with maybe Dejanay from the Proud Family or Nikki Parker from the Parkers. So let me break those down individually. So first and foremost, don't ever think that it was not a pointed choice to choose Monique specifically for this type of role because of her skin tone and her size. First and foremost, Monique is pretty, point blank period. You can have your opinion, but that's the correct answer, right? But they showed her as loud, obnoxious, and then, of course, you had to interject the element of being ghetto with some of her, wardrobe choices and the way that she would handle any woman that she thought that was a love interest of Professor Ogilvy, who she was always chasing. You have to put that element of being combative in there too. Everything that is coming to your ear gate and your eye gate from the time you were a child reinforces this false assumption. So let's look at how they use this in animation, even with the character of Dejanay. Once again, loud, ghetto, abrasive, running and chasing after a man. We've already talked about that, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But I also want you to focus on how Dejanay's family is presented in sharp contrast to the other people's families on the show. You have Dejanay, she has all of these siblings. Her clothes are ill-fitted. Her home life looks kind of ghetto and oftentimes absent of adults, right? Look at how they present Penny Proud and La Cienega Boulevardes, which I think is a hilarious name. You see Penny of a lighter hue and slimmer, just like La Cienega. Her family has big money. Penny's family is doing well, but also you're going to see her dark-skinned father is presented as a buffoon, and so is his brother, and then his dark-skinned, overweight mother, the grandmother, Sugar Mama, is loud, rude, abrasive, angry, combative, all of the things, right? But of course, that dark-skinned man had to get him a light-skinned woman. And then you got your light-skinned daughter. La Cienega Boulevardes, same thing. Their parents have money. The dad is allowed to be overweight, but her mom is model-esque in her features, right? So what this is saying is always drawing the parallels to the higher you get in success, the lighter your wife needs to be in skin tone and in aesthetic, and the slimmer that she needs to be. What you think is your preference is actually just your programming. I want you to even look at it from this angle. Sheila was heavy, but she was also of a lighter hue. So she got to be sweet and sensitive and demure. Whereas if you look at the other castmates, Tasha and Marcus, and then the mother of Marcus's first children, right? They were thin, but they were also dark. So they are loud, abrasive, combative, always arguing, not very ladylike, masculine, domineering. These things have been programmed into your mind since you can go all the way back to Teenie and The Wiz. As a matter of fact, drop down in the comments and tell me how many examples you can come up with where the darker sister or friend is either depicted as she can't get a man, or she's in a constant state of servitude to her man and to her family, whereas the lighter sister or friend is depicted as more educated, more successful, and more desirable, oftentimes as the love interest. How many different TV shows and movies can you drop down in the comments and tell me that play out this very same example? I'm telling you, it's your programming. And so just as Black men are taught to think less of you if you look this way, surely you must realize that after a point, this stuff is internalized and you also think less of yourself. But I want to wrap this portion up with a little bit of balance, in the spirit of balance. And I want to give you the feedback or the commentary from somebody who is definitely on Reesa Teesa's side. Check this out.
This is for the bigger girls and women in general, actually. I got a few things to get off of my chest and my big back. Don't you dare let these rotten thumb looking fools who have access to radio shows and podcasts make you feel like you are unworthy of love, undeserving of respect, and ineligible to be properly courted because of how you look. It's insanity. What's even more insane is that these men who are short and balding with hairlines that look like the top of AT&T Stadium have so much to say about women's bodies. It's amazing to me. Lord Farquaad has so much to say. Jesus. Anywho, now let me say this. I'm not an advocate for obesity. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and when I was diagnosed with that, I took the low route, meaning that I let that cripple me, and then I started to eat whatever I wanted, making the situation worse. I take accountability for that. Now I'm working to be better. We're eating healthier than we have. We're losing weight well, and we are working out. Honey, you should want to be your best self. You should want to work to be the absolute best that you can for your future and yourself. But to hate ourselves where we are, that's insanity. The saddest thing in the world to me is that most of the time when women are being fat shamed and they're Black, it's coming from other Black men. That's what I've personally experienced. And the really sad part is we look like your big back grandmothers, aunties, and cousins. So do you talk about them like that? I'm just wondering, because if you do, then you really need to check your heart. Also, you know what a real man is concerned with? Helping a woman like myself be her best self, because he's trying to do the same. You know what a real man is concerned with? Whether or not I can get on my knees for him in prayer, not just pleasure. Will I be there for him when he loses his job, when he's emotionally distraught? Will I love him for his self and not for what he can do for me? That's what real men are concerned with. It's amazing to me that y'all want us to really hate ourselves where we are while we're working to get better. We refuse to do it. Don't y'all dare keep letting these rotten thumbs make y'all feel away. Good day.
Falling your way, so you